So continuing on from the recovery of a private key on Geth implementation with a Python script, now we're going to look at how you can see both your miner hash rate as well as your getWork for the ETHASH library. So the ETHASH library will have both those methods. I'll show you how you can see if you have the ETHASH methods in your module that of the in the version of the module that you're running. But getWork will show you the current block, proof of work hash, the seed, the boundary condition, which is the equivalent of the target hash for Bitcoin, and the total difficulty, which is 2 to the 256 divided by the actual difficulty. We can actually see the actual difficulty inside the block itself. That's something I'm exploring further in the future. So if we pull up our blockchain, this has been running for a while. As you can see, it's cleaning its tree cache. If we go up to where I originally started it, we can see the modules that are command imports. And it's just in our configuration of how we boot it. So our boot is going to be right here. We don't specify any modules, so we're just going to get the ones that we flag in here. And we can see the modules down here. So we have admin 1.0, debug 1.0, ETH 1.0, ETHASH, this is the thing that we're interested in right now. 1.0 miner, net, personal, RPC, which is now deprecated and it's been replaced by HTTP. So any RPC command you see in this version in our version of an implementation, you can replace the HTTP flag because that's what replaced it. And then we have the TX pool, that's transaction pool, and we have Web3 1.0. So these are all 1.0. And we can go down and see what ETHASH library contains. So if we just want to see the module, what is contained in the module, we do ETHASH. And these are the functions within the module, and they're nice because they tell you function right here. When I first started off with exploring around with this, with Geth and the implementation, some of the instructions were unclear online, whether or not you had to include parentheses or not, and sometimes you get this error where it just say whatever command you said is a this in that color. And it took me forever to figure out that I had to put parentheses on it. Simple mistake, but that's a new learner on a new platform. But yes, those are functions. You will get some other functions that will have to go out to an external source. So if you do have a cutoff environment from the outside world, you will not be able to make or take advantage of those methods. But there's none in the ETHASH 1.0 library that we're concerned with, so that's not a problem for us. So now we're going to check the ETHASH get hash rate. So we do ETHASH get hash rate parentheses enter. And since we did not run a miner recently, we're going to have to run a miner. So it's going to calculate the hash rate. So if we want to do that, we're going to do miner start. We're going to wait for a new block to be sealed. This might take a while. Oh, there we go. We have mine potential block. Let's run it. There we go. Miner.stop. Okay, now we stop the miner, and so we're going to go back to the ETHASH get hash rate. And for that, for the commitment of, or potential of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential new blocks. And these are fast because the difficulty isn't that high right now. This is for just time purposes sake, so we can do a bunch of testing without having to wait around for a bit. But so we have that 11,983, and if I plug that into a converter to do that in hashes a second, so that's 11,983 kilohashes. So if we were to plug that into the converter, that'd be 11,983, and so that's 11.983 million hashes a second. And as you can see, with that many hashes, it's going to burn a lot of energy. And this is why Ethereum 2.0 is moving away from proof of work and moving toward proof of stake, but that's neither here nor there. This is how you can see how fast your miner is operating at. But if we want to take advantage of another module in this library, or another function in this module, we can do ethash dot getWork. And so what this displays, it displays 4 values. And the 4 values are as follows. The first one is the current block proof of work hash. So this block has not been committed yet. It's the current block. It's being filled with transactions. Once it's verified, it's then a committed block. So we have, or it's a mined block because it's been verified. So that's the hash the miners are trying to get with the threshold of the third value. So this third value is the threshold value. In Bitcoin, it's the target value, but in here in Ethereum, they call it the threshold value. This second value in the output is going to be the seed. So right now we have no seed because this is, as you can see, still less than 1,000, less than 100, less than 50 blocks in the blockchain. And so this very last part is the total difficulty. And if we were to run the miner again, we can see that actually go up. I believe it goes up by, no, I don't think it goes up by 1, but I think, there we go, wait. Check the hash rate. So that hash rate was down from the other one. That's because the difficulty went up. So that's actually a perfect example of how the difficulty increases over time. And there's some other cool tricks in the difficulty calculation, but that's for a more in-depth dive into the mining algorithm, or the commitment, or the mining algorithm, to be a successfully mined block. But yeah, we went down significantly from 11,983 to 7,500. But if we go and get the work, we can see that the hash has changed because we've added new blocks. Our seed is still 0 because it's still a relatively new chain. We have a different target, or threshold. But as you can see, we start out with 4 zeros and a 7, and we on the second one, which is a higher block, and we start out with 4 zeros and 7 right here. So as you can see, the threshold is increasing, which would lend credence to the decrease in performance of the hashes, because they would be getting more difficult. And as we can see here, the total difficulty has risen by 3. So it went from x24 to x27. So that's just a really cool, simple, quick way to show how in between you mining blocks, the block headers change, the block, or the total difficulty changes, the threshold hash changes as well. And you can see it in real time. And as the difficulty increases, we saw a very, very stark or drastic drop off in performance due to the hash rate, which is just even more confirmation that it did get harder on that second time we were mining. So it's further credence to the more you get further in the blockchain, the harder and harder the hashes get, which helps with fairness and everything like that in the blockchain. That's just something really cool that I stumbled across when I was doing some work on the Wireshark sector, trying to figure out some modules that might be able to help me. I thought it was very interesting. I think this is a very, very cool 1-2 command that you can really, if you can tie it into block tracing or transaction tracing with roots and uncles and everything like that, that's the end goal for this. I don't know how possible that is, but everything is connected. However, everything's encrypted and encoded, hashed, and I just got to figure out a way to display that data and show you visually. But that's the next steps for this, and just something really, really cool, interesting. And if you're a developer, I think this would be a very, very helpful tool when you're playing around with the configuration of your blockchain. Thank you so much for watching.